welcome back, everybody, to the Beneath the Hat podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Nate Jackson, and alongside me, as always, is Miss Alina Rangel.
Hey guys, we're super excited about this episode. We're actually doing a collaboration with our pals here. Today we've got the Colt Wrangler podcast folks on.
Yeah.
We're very nervous. This is a super nice place. We're used to doing this in the back of a pickup truck, so forgive us if we're not. We're cracking beers and stuff here. We don't know if this is quite the scene you guys are trying to set, but
no, it's okay.
Sure,
It'll have
good.
that little E next to it, I'm sure.
I don't know about y'all, but I'm getting carried out of here, dude.
don't do that.
I ain't driving. He's driving.
You ain't staying at my place. You gotta drive all the way back.
Yeah, when I go to his house, he makes me sleep in the bedroll in his garage.
Yeah, I don't want my daughter seeing cold in the morning.
He has even before your daughter, motherfucker. He has
Well,
a
that's
guest room, and he's like, "Nah, here's a bedroll. You're sleeping outside."
Like a dog. Well, you always have your dog.
Yeah, and I am like a dog though, but like, I love it though. I appreciate it.
It's true.
Well, thank you guys for being on the podcast, and we're excited to kind of do this collaboration. But yeah, if you guys haven't heard of Colt Wrangler Radio, go look it up. It's awesome. But I just wanted to pass it over to you. You had some questions to start them off.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for having us. First
Of
of all,
course. Yeah, it's exciting.
We're really excited.
We're missing Emilio today, our occasional co-host, so he's sad he couldn't be here for this one. But if you tune in to their podcast that's coming out soon, Emilio should be on that one.
We're gonna have the whole gang on there.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Cool.
So if y'all want to give just a little introduction of who y'all are as individuals, and then maybe how y'all both met, we'll go from there.
Well, I guess I'll go first, Colt, since I don't know. I guess I started talking first, but I grew up in Ohio. I had a real hybrid sort of upbringing where I was in Northern California for a little bit when I was young. Hybrid, we were out west all the time. My dad rodeoed. So I got out of high school. I went to be an elk guide and a packer in Wyoming. And I was up there for a while. I was in Wyoming probably 10, 12 years. And I'm trying to think of that was it. I mean, I was in Wyoming. I did the oil fields for a little bit. And then I was down in Colorado. And then I made my way down to Texas. I got hitched. So I got married to a gal. And we kind of looked at a map. And I'm like, well, Texas is the only place I haven't lived that I probably would. And she liked the idea of that. She was coming from Chicago, Seattle. She's working in Seattle, originally from Chicago. And then I moved to Texas, and I would say probably within 2 weeks I met Colt, just because everybody knew that we'd probably be buddies. So everybody just kind of, and it was a weird time in New Braunfels too, right? It was like
COVID.
And then it was a lot of people converging on there that kind of had similar mindsets.
And the bars were still open.
Bars were open, and I met 10 people there that I still talk to today that I just consider really good friends. Like, we just had a little scene going on down there that we thought was really neat. And then me and Colt actually brought up the idea of having a podcast, and we did quite a few down there in New Braunfels, and it sort of morphed into, he got busy, so I kind of came on board too, help kind of shoulder some of the load, and then it's just turned into this, and here we are. We've done it, what, a couple years?
Yeah, we're pretty lax about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we do real low production value compared to this,
Yeah.
but it's we just try to catch people that we have as mutual friends, and you know, the more we get to know each other, the more mutual friends we have, and then we meet people together, and then, you know, it's just one big community. It's been really neat. It's really fun. It's a fun excuse to get together with people that otherwise, you know, it's like, well, I could, but well, you want to do a podcast? Like, oh yeah, we'll come over. So it's been great.
Yeah, and just also too, like, a bunch of people that we know that are really cool people. We know their story, but that haven't been on podcasts. So we're always trying to get people that haven't been yet, you know?
Yeah, we try to get maybe a little under the surface if we can.
If we can, yeah. So we pride ourselves in being like the small numbers, but then like we'll get somebody, and then like the next podcast they're on a big one, you know? Yeah. And that's like, for us, I feel like that's a win.
Well, I just think we're going for, and we have access to, from a real perspective, people that a lot of people don't have access to. So we're just trying to capture that while we can.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. But Colt, tell us a little bit about you, where you come from.
So I was raised in Mason, Texas. My parents had a small ranch there. I'll try to make a long story short, but basically my parents were both bull riders, and my mom also rode bareback horses, and they met on the rodeo circuit. And so they were going to pro rodeos together, and so I grew up on the PRCA rodeo circuit, and then once they quit riding, they actually turned into more of the production and entertainment side of rodeo. My mom's a musician, singer, and stuff, so she would sing, Christian country western music on horseback as basically a halftime show during the rodeos. And my dad learned to do sound because she sang. And then, those committees would hire my dad for these PRCA rodeos to do the whole week or the whole weekend. So my dad got really deep in the audio production.
Yeah.
And, now that's all he does is live sound and studio work and stuff. So I grew up basically rodeoing and grew up playing music. So I'd be, riding bulls and be in a band at the same time.
Dang.
And then later on in, my late teens, I started getting into motorcycles. And then I kind of pursued that for a long time, and I started building custom motorcycles. And when I met Luke, I had a motorcycle shop in New Braunfels, and that's actually where we started doing the podcast, was in the shop there.
Dang.
Sweet.
And we, the band I was in, the Drop Times at that time, like we did a music video in there, and we used that space for like everything.
Yeah, I got used for everything.
Yeah.
There was always people dropping by too. It wasn't good for work, but it was good for if you wanted to go see some people you don't see in a while.
Yeah. I'd be building a bike for some dude in California, and then the next week I'd be fixing my buddy's front end on his truck, and then the next week it was a music video, and the next week it was a podcast, and it was like that place was just in and out,
Dang.
all kinds of stuff. So
They get in place.
yeah.
Yeah.
So just a lot of stuff. Like I always, I did a lot of stuff, but never really, I never went professional with my rodeo stuff, and kind of did with everything else, but not that.
Yeah.
It was always just fun for me.
Yeah.
It was a fun thing.
I mean, heck, you're still getting on ranch broncs and stuff. Tell us about that.
I am. Well, I started out like I was at all the PRCA shows when I was a little kid. So I was always entering the mutton busting every night, and then I was in the CTYRA riding calves at like probably 9 years old. And then I moved up to steers, and then I moved up to junior bulls, and then I was doing senior bulls, and then I was doing high school rodeo. And then I went to the Ettenbauer Saddle Bronc School when I was about 15. And I never even got on a horse. They would just put me on cows. But they pulled these cows off their calves out of the pasture.
Wow.
So they were mad as hell. And you put a saddle bronc saddle on there, and you'd wrap that back latigo across their tail, and you get thrown off, and then they were chasing you down,
Yeah.
So, but that was cool though, because I got to ride in Robert Ettenbauer's saddle that he had taken to the NFR like his last time around. And then I started getting on bucking horses a little bit at home. So high school I was doing bull riding and saddle bronc riding, but I only got on about like 50 head of saddle bronc horses, so not near enough to even learn it, but I would get by some.
Right.
And then I really got into music, and I moved it to San Antonio to play with a band, Danella Drive, which was like hard rock, experimental, like weird band. So I grew out my hair, I had dreadlocks, I was playing shirtless, tattooed up in basements with there was times where we were like, I was kicking over my drum set in the middle of the show. Like it got really wild. Like I've seen some wild stuff in that scene, Yeah. So I was doing that. I was like, all right, the rodeo days are over. I think the last bull I got on, I was like 20 years old. I kind of ran through a slump, and I had bucked off like 10 bulls in a row, and I had no reason to do it anymore. It's like, what am I even chasing? Everybody when you're in Texas high school rodeo, like these guys, usually the really good guys, they're not there their senior year. As soon as they turn 18, they're on the pro circuit, or at the PBR.
Right.
And then everybody else, like I was mid-pack, you kind of like quit after that, because it's like, what are you doing? You're just gonna go to all these.
You kind of just fall off on your own, just because you just see the guys that are eating, sleeping, and breathing it. You just realize you're in it for the lifestyle. At a certain point, you just kind of bail.
Yeah.
There's no shame to it. It's just like, I'm slowly gonna quit entering.
Yeah. And two, it's like, well, now I'm out on my own. I'm living in a FEMA trailer, and I'm like changing oil for $7 an hour, and coming up with $75 entry fee for a weekend where I'm probably gonna get bucked off is hard to do.
Yeah.
And so just went through that slump, and my confidence was low, and I had a bunch of other things going on, and plus I was out on my own now, and I'm like barely getting by, I'm like buying cans of tuna at Dollar General and saltines, you know.
Dang, Dollar General.
Yeah.
Man.
So, you know, to get a job, I was always in the cars and motorcycles and stuff. So I started working at a place in San Antonio called Maximum Altitude, where I was doing lift kits on trucks.
Heck yeah.
And then I was playing the band on the weekends. And then we do little DIY tours and stuff like that, sleeping in a van and going all over. And yeah, so I was doing that. And then as I was working in these shops, I would always had my motorcycle that I was tinkering with. And basically, I put my head down on that kind of stuff. I got really good at it, enough to the point where I branched out on my own, opened up my own shop, and then I just kind of quit playing music because it was one of those deals where we weren't making any money. Like, we were really good, but there was no money in rock music at that time, and still to this day. And so I found the money and the potential all in the motorcycles. I went really heavy on that and kind of made, you know, a career out of that. And after a while, you know, 6, 7, 8 years into that, I'm like, man, you start looking back and you're like, I ain't even rode a saddle horse in like a year, you know, and I'm like missing rodeo and all this stuff. Well, I found a practice pen of Vic's Arena in Marion, Texas, and I had my shop in New Braunfels, and I realized, oh, they're bucking bulls over there every Wednesday night. So I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go over there. And, you know, I was just, like, pulling ropes and stuff and just hanging out and drinking beer and, like, renting the old buddies, you know, old rodeo buddies. And then somebody got hung up, you know, one day, and there was no bullfighters. And I ran out there and pulled this guy's rope. And then they were like, all right, well, like, you should just stay in the arena from now on. And then I voluntarily became, like, the bullfighter, right? So I started bullfighting a little bit. And then I reached out to my buddy, Colt Oder, who was heavy on the trail at that time. And then he's like, dude, I'm doing a school with Gary LeFew 2 weekends in a row. And I was hauling bikes up there for a motorcycle race for a guy here in Austin at the time. So I went over there and did the bullfighting school with those guys. And they were like free of charge, you know. And, you know, kind of started getting into that. But then I started playing music again with the Drop Tines at the time. I still have my motorcycle shop. So I'm like, and if you're doing a bullfighting gig, you know, even some little local rodeo, that's every single weekend. You got to be there. Well, if you play one gig, you know, who's going to cover your bullfighting? I'm like, shit, I can't, like, it's fun on Wednesday night, but, like, I can't fight bulls at a series. I can't fit it in. And then I started seeing a lot more ranch bronc riding popping up. And I was like, you know, I've ridden some colts. I've ridden some saddle bronc horses. I was like, screw it, I'll just enter that. And then I really, like, liked that. And then it was like, whenever I have a free weekend, I could go enter a rodeo. So I started doing that. And then you're just doing it for fun. And then you're like starting to try to get competitive. And then next thing you know, you're like every weekend, you know. And once I quit playing music and I shut down the shop because I got hired by a big shop here in Austin, Revival Cycles, to be their fabricator. And so I had weekends off. So I started that was my hobby now. It's like I'm making my money building motorcycles, and every weekend I'm just hitting rodeos.
Heck yeah.
So that's kind of how the ranch bronc riding started.
Yeah. Well, man, you've done a lot, and just that, you know, that adrenaline rush from, you know, being on motorcycles and stuff. I haven't ridden motorcycles a whole lot. Our coworker SB, he tears it up on his all the time. He let me ride it one time.
What is it?
It's a little cafe racer. I can't remember what it is. It's I think it's a Kawasaki.
I think so.
I can't remember what it is.
Wrong.
I'd have to ask him. We'll talk about it when we do it with you
Okay.
guys.
All right.
But he let me just get on it one time, and I was like, that's a little scary for me. But just that transition, have you always kind of been chasing that adrenaline rush in everything you do?
Yeah, I think the reason I was able to get out of riding bulls is because I had bought a Yamaha R6.
Wow.
And then I was like, oh, 130 feels pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just, like, that kind of gave me my fix.
Yeah.
And then plus I needed a creative outlet. And, like, it's way cheaper and more economical to, like, customize a bike that cost you $2,000 versus some car or truck, you know? Yeah. And it was just more simple. And so that's what got me into it. It's like, all right, I can do my creative itch and I can get my adrenaline fix all at the same time. So I started not even thinking about riding bulls. I was like, I just want to ride this motorcycle everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and heck, speaking of creative outlets, Luke, you used to fiddle with leather and stuff like that, didn't you?
Yeah, leather. I did some songwriting too. I play some music here and there. it's always kind of been sort of a pastime, you know, working on ranches and stuff. You got a lot of downtime, and especially with leather. I mean, if you're making ranch wages, you're not buying anything that you want. So you kind of put the money towards tools or get some secondhand stuff. Start gathering that stuff together, and you can start actually cobbling together, you know, a good headstall or breast collar, whatever you need, and kind of spur straps, little stuff like that. I always lean more towards making things than buying them. I always like putting my own sort of spin on whatever I'm using for the most part. I like kind of making it personal, and kind of most stuff I see out there on the market, it's fine and I like it, but I want to take this off or put this on, or, you know, whatever's usable, whatever's functional. I like utility, and a lot of this stuff is just, some of it's more flash than it is utility, and I don't really like the flash. So
Well, heck, there's a saddle maker that I recently came across of. I can't think of his name, but he builds a lot of packing saddles, things like that. Man, I can't think of his name.
Where's he out of?
Up north somewhere. I just bought a little bracelet for him, and it was like a little Latigo tie or whatever. It was really cool.
Oh, it's that the dude up in Washington?
Yes.
Yeah, he's good.
And heck, just with a lot of those packing guys and everything that are out, you know, chasing elk and all that, utility is like a huge thing.
Yeah, it's the only thing. I mean, shoot, if you're up in the mountains, like I said, when I was 2 days out of high school, I went to the mountains and learned to be an elk guide. And we were in Cody. It was elk hunting. It was a guide school. So you were riding in 22 miles. You had to shoot your own stock. You were always pulling at least 8 mules, if not 10, because we were going up what they called the catwalk. On the South Fork Shoshone out of Cody, as soon as you're coming within the first, I'd say 4 miles, there's a place called the catwalk. And it's actually a dynamited ledge out of a cliff face where they've dynamited out like enough room for the packs and enough room for your animal's feet. And whoever was toting the most animals was the one that had right away. So our outfitter would always make us be pulling at least 10, because we know with 10 we'd be beating whoever was DIYing up there that weekend, and they'd have to turn around and go get your last mule and sort of, you know, weasel back there, untie your last mule, turn them around on that catwalk and walk them back, and then go up and get your other mule. I mean, I had mules jump, like cut corners and stuff and fall, and I mean it was hairy. So it was a big learning experience for me. It was 22 miles in, and we did it weekly, twice a week.
Well, how do you navigate something like that? I guess just from a horseman's perspective, like, are you guys walking down those catwalks, or do you just
we're
get
riding
on your best one? And...
Yeah, I trust the horse more than I trust me walking on that some bitch. Yeah,
I had a buddy of mine tell me one time, I was just riding a horse for a friend, and we were just on some pavement. I got a little nervous, and he looked over at me. He was like, "What are you scared for?" And I was like, "He's slipping all over the place." He was like, "Well, the horse doesn't want to fall."
Yeah, he's more scared to fall down than you are, because that's the end of his life if he breaks his leg. But, that's what an old cowboy told me too, because, you know, you're in Wyoming, and a lot of that stuff's super hairy, and you get a little sketched out by maybe cutting across a cliff face or something. They're like, "Man, they don't want to die any more than you do. Just give them their head and let them go."
Yeah. For sure.
It's always worked out for me. I had a couple roll over on me and stuff, but nothing life-threatening.
Yeah.
But then again, when you're in the middle of nowhere, everything's kind of halfway life-threatening if it's not attended to.
Yeah. Dang.
So we worked out of Cody. So I had a unique experience because I worked out of the Cody side, worked for an outfitter there, and then that was 22 miles in. And then I worked out of the Jackson side, and we were 36 miles in there. That was the most remote hunting camp in the lower 48 states. And that was like a two-stage. We had a lower camp and an upper camp. And then I ran cows for an outfit on the DuBois side. And it was on the old Walt Disney Ranch called the Diamond G. And it's up a big river bottom called the Dunor. And at the very end of that. So I remembered being at the Dunor, gathering cattle. I'd be up the Dunor, and I would remember that I was on top of that mountain 5 years prior hunting elk from the Cody side, and then right across that is where the Jackson side pulled in. So I kind of got to know that Washakie Wilderness area pretty well.
Man, that's insane.
Dang, sounds like y'all are both pretty familiar with up north. How did the Diamond Cross deal play out?
That was, I mean, it was really cool because I got to work with Grant Gallagher.
Oh, wow.
And that dude's like the Marlboro man, you know?
Really?
So that was cool. But like day to day, I was dude ranching, and that'll make you want to pull your hair out. But I came home with a fat check, you know, because you're just like, and you just butter these people up.
Yeah.
But you butter them up is weird. We've talked about it a bunch, but it's like you butter them up by kind of being a hard ass on them. Because they want that. They want like a ranching experience, you know?
They want you to be ripped from Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Cuss at them.
They do have to expect it, yeah.
You would get people that were like from Sweden, or, you know, they'd be from New York, you know? I mean, I'd be the guy who's like, what do you do? He's like, well, I'm an executive at BlackRock, or, you know, you'd take out somebody that's like, well, I'm the CFO of the parent company of like Wrangler, Levi, you know, or Wrangler Lee, and like brands like that, you know? Guys that work for Walmart.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just some, you know, rich people, all kinds of stuff, you know. So it was a weird, like, social experiment. It was really interesting because you're just putting these people on horses, you know.
And it's more popular than ever. That Jackson area is blown up.
It's insane. Yeah. So you're just like, you know, it was really interesting. And you realize that, like, I'm just some nothing, a lot, you know.
Oh,
compared to
less than nothing.
Less than nothing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was one time. I was riding around. We were doing, because I worked at a guest ranch there too, right across the river from where he was. That's how. I mean, I knew Grant when I was 18. Like I knew Grant living in my truck across the river from him.
Yeah.
And we'd do snowmobile tours in the winter, and I was down. You'd go get him in town, and then you'd take him to Yellowstone, and then you'd run him through Yellowstone. You'd go see Old Faithful go off, blah blah blah, come back, and I had on the way back home. This guy was really antsy to get to his cell phone. And I was just listening, and you know, I'm driving some piece of shit van, but this guy's in the back like a school kid, and he's doing a Motorola. He was doing the merger for Motorola on the phone while I was driving him back to Jackson. I'm like,
jeez.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah,
and you're like, and you take some young girls out or something. They're like, well, what are you doing? They're like, well, I work for TikTok, or
That's
you know.
wild.
But what's weird is like you'd be with these people that have this position of power, but then you put them on this horse, and they're scared, and everything's completely new, and all of a sudden tables turn, and you're the guy with the power. So like, and they like you to leverage it on them a little bit. They kind of like that, you know. So it was a big social experiment, and then, you know, I was able to pocket some money, and then, you know, I had Nick Turner with me, who was helping me. He was like the secondary wrangler and the photographer there, and was helping with all the photo shoots and everything there for the big brands. And so he was just following me around with a camera all summer. So then I just had all of these great photos taken of me, and then I was able to start getting like these modeling gigs, and that's how you make that extra money, you know?
Yeah.
Because you go win the rodeo that weekend, you make $150, but if you got on a shoot for a day, you were making $1,500, you know? So you can if you're smart about it, and I think, you know, he's done the same thing, is like you can leverage it, you know? And I mean, that's how he met his wife in a way, is like, he got in a lot of big like shoots and started consulting for a lot of stuff.
Well, I started, my buddy Chris Douglas up there in Montana, he invited me up to help do a Filson shoot, and then we kind of teamed up, and I was helping more on the production side. He's obviously the photographer, and I still think he's probably the best one doing it, but he invited me into that whole world, and it's just a whole different thing. And it was where you could kind of, you know, with all your experiences and all the people you know and all the ranches you've been to, you can kind of get them paid and, you know, get a product that the company wants. Like we did a lot of work for Filson, and that's who my wife worked for, and that's how I met her. We were doing a lot of stuff in Seattle, and then we were back and forth, and they were shooting a lot in Montana, so it really worked out. It was really neat. It was a neat time in that era of what it was right at the transition of like real modeling to like Instagram modeling, where you know, because Chris, who was a photographer, he had a modeling background, like high-end fashion modeling background, where he made really, really crazy money, because that's what you got paid to be a model back in the early aughts in the 90s. And the Instagram is like the one step down, and now I feel like the bottom's dropped out of it altogether, where like there's no money in it at all because everybody's willing to do it for free or for exposure.
Yeah.
So it was a good time. We're talking like what, 16 to, I don't know, maybe 19, 20, something in there. It seemed like, for me anyway.
Did y'all get the chance, I mean, apart from the podcast, to work together a lot? Like, y'all both seem very familiar with the same area.
Well, he went up there. We did that Jeremy podcast, right? And you were like, Jeremy Morris, who's a buddy of mine in Idaho, and we were both bullshitting about being in Wyoming. And Colt's like, man, I got to do that before I leave. And I was like, man, I can hook you up if you think you want to go up there. So he's been up there last year, but we had never met before me moving to Texas.
Wow.
Really?
We'd known of each other. Like I followed him on Instagram and stuff, but we never met. No.
Parallel lines, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Everybody down here was on parallel lines. That was so bizarre about it. Everybody here was such like a like-minded bird of the same feather that it was bizarre for me. I've never moved a place and felt more like at home instantly with like the friend group I found.
Well, that's how we're starting to kind of, figure out, just through the shop. I know we talk about it all the time with the Western Heritage. It's just like one person that we're really good friends with shows up, and then their buddy who we know but we don't really know shows up, and then it just snowballs.
Yeah, it's 6 degrees of separation.
So it might seem like we're like super organized with the podcast. It just falls into place, really.
Yeah.
Like I don't think.
Well, you guys are doing a good job. You're doing better than that. Look at this place.
I mean, it's a lot of investing in yourself at first. It's hard for sure. We're like, oh, geez, but I mean, it just all plays out pretty good. I mean, we've got a list of people that we'd like to sit down with, of course, but for the most part, most of what we get to do, it's like y'all, you're like, hey, let's do a swap, or like, hey, I'm gonna be down there this weekend. So it
cool.
just plays out pretty good. Thankfully.
We like what you guys are doing, and we like the hat house. I mean, that's the best place I've ever been to get a hat in terms of service, and you guys make your own hats. You couldn't be better. I've been all over the country, and I've never been to a better place.
Yeah.
Man, that means a lot. I know Emilio would say.
And I'm always looking too. It's not like I'm just blowing through towns. No, I'm always looking for a good straw or a good. I'll usually get custom felt. But I'm always looking for a straw.
Yeah.
And there's just not a place like what you guys got going in Elgin.
Man, we really appreciate it. We try to be the best at what we do, and I think it's for us shapers, me, SP, and Emilio. It's like an iron sharpens iron kind of deal.
Yeah.
With us, where, I mean, Emilio's the one that taught me everything. I did kind of an apprentice route. SP had been shaping for a long time before he came with us.
Yeah.
But I feel like now we're all right next to each other. So when we're knocking hats out, it's we're pushing ourselves.
You guys are also really married to the idea of customer service and that old sort of. What I imagine it probably was when everybody was wearing a hat, and it was a really big part of what you bought every year.
Yeah.
And you guys are what I would guess it was like to have been in that world, because your customer service is spot on. You care. Everybody in there, leaves happy.
Yeah.
You got cops in there every time I'm in there, like that. You'd shape all their hats. They're always stopping by. Everybody's coming by for a tune-up.
Yeah.
Bullshit, whatever. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Oh, that's great. I mean, when I go to a Western store and I'll be looking if I can find a small stack of something unshaped in the corner, but I won't even make eye contact with them because I don't even want them.
Yeah, you don't want them touching your hat.
I hate it.
I'll just go do it over a kettle at home, which is the worst.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's like, isn't that meme? It's like, no, I know more than you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I don't want to. It's like, can we help you? No, you can't. Like,
Yeah, I wish you could, though.
I hate it. That's that way, But
there's some
honestly,
kid that got hired for $15 an hour to come like pretend he's steaming on
Yeah,
hats.
and that's. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's a lot of places, and
it's a lot of places.
This is what we do for our livelihood. We do this.
And I love
every
that.
day,
You guys take a lot of craftsmanship,
exactly.
pride in it.
So when you step into a place, you'll know yes or no. Do I want them touching my hat?
Yeah.
Like, and I'll shape stuff on my own with a crock pot, and it won't be the best, but I'd rather do that than have somebody else touch my hat at a lot of these places, right? And so, when you step into a hat store like y'all got, I'm like, it's so nice because I'm like, I don't have to worry about it. And I'm like, even if I'm more like, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
It's like going and getting tattoos, like we were talking earlier. Like now I go get tattoos, I'm like, well, what do you think? Or what? Or like, I kind of want this. You pick the colors. It's like you do this every day in, day out. It's like you're gonna be better at it than me. So like, I want your opinion. I want your expertise. And it's kind of nice as a consumer to be able to sit back and relax and just know like you're gonna get something cool at the end of it. Doesn't matter what it is, it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, trust your guys' opinion and trust what you're gonna do with it. And like you had said earlier, you were like, shit, man, we know you. Just tell us you need a hat and we'll shape it up. I'm like, you can remember that? You're like, yeah. I'll just, if I know it's for you, I'll send it to you. I'll shape it just how you like it, which is crazy.
It makes it easier when it's our friends, because I mean, you told me earlier, you're like, oh, you have good memory. I'm like, no, I guess it's just like, oh my God, our pals from Colt Wrangler. And so it's easier to remember like conversations,
that's true
I guess, that you enjoy having with your pals.
And like she said, we enjoy our customers and we want it to feel like a family environment. And that's how we feel about our customers. We want to take care of our customers just like they want to support us.
Well, you guys are doing it right. You're going to clean up. I mean, I'm sending everybody your way.
That's awesome, man. We
Best place
appreciate
I've
it.
ever stepped into.
That's
I've
awesome.
stepped in a lot of places.
Yes, sir.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored. But it's cool you guys doing the podcast too. It gives you a little behind the scenes peek of how you guys think and what you're trying to do here.
For
and
sure.
We kind of had the same deal. We didn't know what we were doing at all. We just wanted to, like we said, capture some of these guys we know while they're coming through town. And we're living in a place now. I'm used to living in the middle of nowhere, 80 miles to the grocery store. So like being in this center and feeling like there's this much energy, and I'm like, why aren't we doing something when people are coming through town? Everybody's coming through town at some point, especially musicians and everything. Like we need to just be gobbling them up and getting them on something, like getting something down. Just because it's an interesting like snapshot of a time that's going away as everybody's seeing everything's growing and getting bigger. It's like you gotta take snapshots of the time you're in, or it's gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear stories about the 70s or the 80s in Austin or wherever, and you're like, yeah, where's all the records of that? There's like a dozen. And they don't have, obviously, the access to all the equipment we do and everything now, but we're trying to do our part to sort of, I don't know, archive this while we can.
Yeah, especially the old guys.
Yeah, old guys, just interesting guys, people that are in the same vein we are, that are doing cool stuff, that are like living out of their car, you know, just doing what they want to be doing. And that's the stuff I like. I've always loved that person.
Yeah.
How'd this hat shop thing start? I don't want to derail you.
Yeah, no, you're good. I mean, I'll go over it a bit, but I'll let Emilio cover it in the next one. When Emilio was either, I guess, fixing to graduate or right out of high school, we had a family friend reach out to him who knew he learned how to shape hats at a boot store. Of course, you have all the supplies in the world to learn, but no one's teaching you. I mean, he was there on commission to sell boots, and he hardly ever made commission because he wasn't selling any. He was just shaping hats. So I guess over time, our family friends and people would go seek Emilio out at that boot shop. And he got a call to go work for a company that specifically sold American and shaped hats. So he opened up the store not long after, because I guess for the most part it was Emilio just running the booth. And he's like, heck, if I can do this, why shouldn't I open a store?
Doing it for anybody else but me?
Yeah, he's like, there's a demand for it. And he just noticed heck, you go in a boot store and people don't have much of a problem spending a lot of money on boots when, the first thing they see is your face, not your shoes. So you might as well have a hat that matches. You've got, you spend so much money on boots, and that's not typically what people look at first. So you might as well have a hat that looks good too, you know?
And that's wild. Everybody spends the money on boot, and then, you see it.
Yeah.
You know, we've been on these shoots and you're doing these brands, and they got models coming in and stuff, or stylists, quote unquote.
Wow.
And it's like, you will see the shittiest hats you ever seen in your life. I did a Wrangler shoot. Straight up, the stylist brought a hat from a gas station in Jackson Hole that was basically like a grandpa fishing hat.
No way.
And she's like, I don't know anything about this.
White
And
girl
I'm
Toby
like,
Keith
I brought a stack of hats. I was like, we ain't wearing none of that,
Just
gal.
dishing them out.
Yeah, you got to be careful about how they make you look on some of them things.
No,
you got to say no.
100%. I'll bring a stack of hats, a stack of boots. I'm like, I'll wear your shirts, I'll wear your jeans, but trust me on. And it's cool because a lot of times they're open to it because they don't actually know.
Yeah.
You know, you would think these brands know because they're these legacy brands, but once it goes down the steps of authority, somebody's just getting hired because they have a degree in fashion or something.
Yeah.
Well, and heck, like you said, working, at Diamond Cross and everything, you probably had, the CEO of Lee at a dude ranch, so it's who's wearing their clothes. Somebody that's probably not going to be at a dude ranch. So it kind of goes back to your point of what they know might not be as much as, everybody thinks it is. So it's kind of up for, I think, this new generation of models, because now they're looking for those working actual guys. Say, hey, while y'all are out branding, here's a couple shirts, throw them on, kind of deal. So
I think another thing, I guess, and something I really like about most of our guests, including y'all, is how much people prioritize quality or care about it. Whether you're doing it unknowingly, or it's the thought, I want to do quality things, or I want to make quality things or produce quality. Y'all, I'm sure when you do leather or get the opportunity to do so,
Definitely.
or
Everything.
motorcycle stuff, or just the podcast in general, listening in, y'all say, oh, we're in the back of a truck, but hey, the sound was better than I first.
We wanted to make sure the sound
is
good.
Fantastic. So,
but we also I mean, we're kind of, being a little self-deprecating, but I like that it's kind of that homespun, wherever we're at on the couch, and get everybody kind of comfortable and do that.
Yeah.
Well, I think just the quality aspect of it too, I'm sure that's why y'all say like, oh, the customer service and everything, down to like, I guess in regards to all the quality of things at the store, we want to be making sure it's good. But and I honestly don't know. Oh, we were talking about hats, of course, but yeah, I'm sure maybe sometimes that slips through the crack when you're worried about denim, the quality of denim. Maybe they're not looking at the quality of the hats, but that's where we come in. We'll worry about that.
Well, the
for
hats is
them.
the most misunderstood aspect of that whole world. I don't think anybody knows like the etiquette that goes around it, and then what it means to people.
Yeah.
And the fact that, I mean, nobody that is worth a shit is going to put on any other hat than their own, and they come to that not even knowing that, and that you can't blame them for it. They're just ignorant to that fact, and then they learn, and then they don't do it again.
Yeah.
But you know, when they're bringing a lot of people that are sort of out of their element, that's just what happens. You got to kind of show them. You got to invite them in a little bit to kind of let them know, well, this is what this side of the fence looks like.
And I think now that cowboy is cool again, we're starting to see a lot more people search for us or search for, I mean, we've got, of course, a lot of friends that do similar stuff to us, whether it's saddles, boots, or so on. So we've been reached out to about, heck, I mean, we've had some of our hats on TV, and we've had some of our people reach out to us about us doing hats for production shoots.
Good.
So I think now that
That's great.
people are seeing that cowboy is cool, they want to just make sure it's authentic all across the board.
Well,
so that's a good thing.
And even just the first time buyer, you know, that's something I think is really important when it comes to a hat, because it could go either way. They can be ignorant to the fact, and then they'll end up with, you know, the classic off-the-shelf hat that we all know and see.
Yeah.
Or this experience can be so good for them that they're just going to bypass that, and this is the only thing they're going to want to do, which is how it was back in the day. Nobody was like, oh, I'm just go down the street and pick up a hat off the shelf. They're like, I'm going to just go get a hat, and it was an open crown, you know, and that's where that individuality comes. And yeah, I think just that being able to show that first-time customer what's possible and show them the experience of doing it, I think is a big part.
Or just the fact that you make it your own.
Yeah, exactly.
And that it's not just this Cattleman crease that everybody sees all the time on everybody, and it looks terrible, and it's all rounded here, and it's just got a smile, and you're like, man, somebody could have just talked to somebody on that production, and it could that guy could have shaped up a hat that makes him look like the real article instead of how they got him looking now.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll save the hat talk. Sorry, I don't know. we'll save it for the next one.
I'll say one more thing. Like people have no clue, you know, that they don't know that you get a hat open crown unshaped and you shape it to your liking. Like they like the majority of people don't know that's a thing. Yeah. They think you just pull it off the shelf. Well, the problem is like a lot of these ones that end up in shoots or that people buy are literally pulled off the shelf. So what are they? Flat. Yeah. I mean, that bugs me to no end. It's just straight out, and then thanks to us bull riders in the 2010s, everybody started doing the wide creep. You know, that was we started that. Wide creep.
Yeah, I look at pictures of it, like, I look at dipshit.
Yeah. Well, now it's like that, and then everything of that sort gets taken to some extreme. Yeah. But then they're all stacked on top of each other, and they pull them off the shelf, and this sucker's just like up here like this, and it just drives me mad, you know. But like, that's what they, you know. How do you educate it? But then, do you want to educate them? Because I like to see them coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Fine line. Some people are worth it, some people aren't.
Yeah. Some people are worth it, some people aren't.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose so. I think another thing is I'm terrible because I want to argue online when I see like I want to be a keyboard warrior, but like I'm like they don't give a crap about what I say.
On what? What gets you spun up?
Well, just like the hat stuff, because I'm like. Just the other day, I saw someone comment about, I think Charlie Crockett, like it was like a Subway video of him.
I saw that,
and and he was talking about the Subway video, and they're like, so why is this poser wearing hats now? I'm like, hats don't have, like, you don't have to have like a piece of paper in your wallet saying, I can wear a hat. Like, anyone can wear a hat.
Oh, yeah, you should have seen
me
at
start
that time in the basement with dreadlocks, you know? It's like, you know, so it's true. And I have a hard time with that, too. It's like, well, you shouldn't really judge too hard because you don't know where people are from.
Yeah, I guess that's why we call it beneath the hat for most of our customer base. There's so many different people that come in. Like, we've had people come in that were just visiting, like people that were in Austin from China and they wanted a cowboy hat before they went home, or we've got people that come in with dreads. We've got people that day work. We got people like y'all. So I guess like there's so many different people. anyone can wear a hat.
As long as people are wearing hats, that's a good thing. You know, so.
Yeah, it's good
If
for
they're
business.
from us, it's even better.
For sure.
Yes, 100%.
And they should, because they're getting
Yeah.
steered the wrong way, if not, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Well, do you want to do rapid fire?
Yeah.
Rapid fire, what's this?
I'll let you.
start
I'll let
shooting?
you start it.
Yeah,
out.
everybody-
Start
Oh my
busting
God,
it
in the
open
truck.
up in here.
Yeah, lucky for it. No, I'm just kidding. We ask questions just off the dome. We want to know what y'all.
Oh, this is scary
Yeah.
as hell.
So let's say y'all are branding in a week. Who are the first people you call to have on your crew?
Wait. Say what? Say that again?
You're branding in a week. Who's the first people you're calling to be on your crew? Who are
Cody
your...
Gooden.
Yeah,
Cody
Cody
Gooden. He's
Gooden.
gonna be more Reds and a bunch of Budweisers.
Yeah, pretty good.
And
For
he's
Shout
got
out
a lot
Cody
of good
Gooden.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it'd probably be like the Dusty Green,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, heck
Yeah.
yeah. It's not a party if Dusty's not there.
Josh Deskinia, Brandon Bauer. Those are my
Heck yeah.
boys.
Yeah, I'd call in some boys up north. I mean, Jeremy, he's a hell of a roper. He's one of the best ropers I've ever seen in my life, and I call him a good buddy, and he really plays it down. But when he gets out there, he's one of the best I've ever seen.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man, I guess that's all I got. Those are some of my tops.
Cody Gooden, Josh Deskinia, Brandon Bauer. That'd be mine.
Well, I don't think Dusty ever shows up without Ricky, so Ricky'd have to come too.
Hippie Tom.
Hey.
Yeah,
good
Hippie
point.
Tom would
We
be
gotta have
fun.
Hippie.
Yeah, Hippie's always coming along.
Yeah, I love that dude.
That's
Your
a good
next
one.
rapid fire?
Best fast food joint when y'all are on the road.
And I try to steer clear of it, but if I had to, it'd be like probably In-N-Out.
Gas
Two.
station burrito.
Also,
I had one on the way over here.
There you go.
All sup, whatever.
Colt's always eating while he's doing
Taquitos.
something else. I never seen Colt not in a hurry eating.
Well, yeah, it's fuel
It's a
for me.
byproduct of what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is. Yeah.
I'm like off the shelf hat. Like that's how I eat. I'm like, what's available? That's very generic and cheap. I'll grab it and eat it.
You're lucky you have a good metabolism, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, and that your gut's gonna start paying for that here in a little bit.
Yeah, maybe so.
You're gonna start shitting your pants just sitting here doing this.
I'm on the beer diet.
Go-to beer.
Lone Star Light for me.
I
Yeah.
agree. I agree.
I'm a
But they've
Corona
changed it.
person.
Distribution, they changed the
I
recipe.
hear they
guess.
just did.
It does taste different. I
Really?
had some old ones and some new
Uh,
ones, and it's weird.
That can't be true.
That's a real big bummer.
I don't know.
I tell you,
Maybe it's just now that you know that they changed it.
No, I think my buddy Caleb looked it up, and he said apparently they changed the recipe. He put a whole thing. Lone Star actually
Oh.
replied to him. He did like a whole
I
deal. It's
saw
like,
that.
you come home
Yeah.
when I needed you most on Texas Independence Day.
He's like, I
He
had
was
to
wearing a
break
new
up with
can.
Lone Star.
Yeah, you gave me a headache. Only Bud Light gives me. I guess we're divorcing.
Caleb,
Yeah.
hit us up if you want to come talk about your Lone Star problems on the podcast.
He's got them. He's got the problems.
Lone Star used to be, but shit. Well, okay, so like I just spent like 4 months between like South Africa and in Europe, and Castle Light was my go-to over there.
Wow.
And then I came back over here, and I'm like, yeah, Lone Star, and then it's hard to get right now, so Keystone,
He's
Natty
drinking
Lights.
these natty lights. I ain't had these since high
Dude,
school, but
20
they are pretty good.
They're
They're
pretty,
actually
they go
all
down
right.
good. They're $25 for a 30 rack, dude. Like,
There you
come
go.
They're
on,
all right.
let's go. I love a deal.
Tell us a few little fun stories from your doings out in Europe.
So I met a buddy here in Austin, Texas, that's a custom bike builder from South Africa. And so once I was done in my stint in Wyoming, we had been talking for about a year about me coming down there and doing a project with him. So he had like basically a biker build off type project, an old shovel head. And he's like, man, if you can make it down here, like I'll put you up, I'll show you a good time. And so I did. I lived there with him and his wife in his house for 3 months, and those South Africans, dude, they like work hard, party hard.
Really?
Yeah. So they, I was going to work every day building bikes and stuff, and then like weekends we were just tying one down. Like it was a good ass time. And my brother lives in Germany. He's in the army, and he lived in Italy before that. And so I was like, well, I gotta go see my brother. But my buddy Nick Turner, the artist and photographer that I worked with in Wyoming, he lives in Portugal. He's big into surfing. So I was like, all right, I got to go to Portugal. So I went. But on my way to South Africa, I was like, well, I got a layover. I might as well stay a couple days. So I went to London, then South Africa, then Portugal. Then I met my brother in Prague, Czechoslovakia.
Prague is fun.
Amazing. Have you been?
Yeah, I studied abroad there for a little bit, but I'm like, these people just party all day. I don't know how they have any money to do this, but
nobody blinks an eye. Everywhere else, if you start cracking a beer at 9 a.m., like no one gives a shit.
I took a
and I love it.
Yeah, I studied ag over there, and they, heck, we were in a classroom at like 9, 10, and they had beers in front of us. We were studying hops and beer production and beer tasting. I'm like, man, this is kind of hard. I thought Stephenville, Texas was tough. There's nothing like Prague.
Yeah. It's close. Stephenville prepped you.
Well. I don't know about that. I hardly drank while I was out there just because I was like, man, that's all these people want to put in front of me. Give me some water.
That's all I did while I was there. I just wanted to like get drunk and then like meet people and then go to weird places, and that's kind of what I did, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a good time. You know, South Africa's beautiful. You know, I was living in Cape Town, so I'm on the beach pretty much, and I was riding motorcycles and making friends, and did a crazy bungee jump there. It was like 700 feet.
Holy crap!
That was a weird deal. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how I'd feel about that when I came up to the actual edge.
All right, well, for me, no, the edge sucks because like, for me, you know, when you come up there, they're like, hey, if you've had any like surgeries or knee problems or anything, like, you know, let us know, because they wrap those bungee cords around your ankles. And
when you're a knee boy too.
Yeah, so Luke had to
pick
me up from a rodeo because I drive that D350, 1-ton standard.
You couldn't work the clutch. You had to borrow her car for 2 days.
Yeah, I tore 3 ligaments in my knee doing a convention rodeo for you know, for like a corporation where they pay you like $100 to get on a bronc, and rode the bronc, got off on the pickup, man, and somewhere I like caught my leg, twisted it, and pretty much blew up my knee. And then I'm stuck in the water. I'm like, I can't even drive home. You know, my left knee. I got to push that, and that's the heaviest clutch on that motherfucker. So I had to call this guy. He had an automatic Jeep at the time. I was like, dude, come pick me up. I was like, I'll drive your Jeep, and you drive my truck. And then it was like, we're stopping on Goodwill on the way, and I'm getting a pair of crutches for $3.
That's right.
And then I'm going straight to the bar, and that's what I did. My knee was the size of a cantaloupe, and I'm just sitting at the bar just getting drunk. And anyway, so I had surgery on that. It's kind of why I ended up in Wyoming. I kind of had to like quit everything and go back to my mom's house and heal up, sit on the couch for 3 months. And so anyway, I'm at this bungee jump, and I talked to the guy after. I was like, yeah, man, I had knee surgery like about a year ago, and my other knee screwed up too, and I haven't got it fixed. And he's like, all right, well, they put a harness on you.
Huh.
And he's like, we'll just attach the bungee to your harness, it's basically attached to your chest. Everybody else, they put it around their ankles. And I'm sitting there looking, you know, there's a big line of people. There's a lot of people that are doing it. And you definitely don't, I'd feel way cooler if I didn't see all the people in the line. And then when you see all the people in the line, you're like, yeah, I'm not some badass trying to do this. Like, this is somebody's mom here. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's like a couple that they're doing it for their anniversary or whatever. Yeah, so, yeah, just a tourist trap. But I'm watching them put this thing around their ankles, and I'm like, wait, that's it? That's all they're doing? I'm like, that seems sketchy.
Yeah, see, I don't think I trust people enough to rig me up right, but I know they do it all day. But it only takes once. It can be you.
Well, you see them, like, they're just in and out. Like, they're in and out all day, every day. So you're like, yeah,
how often do they swap out these cords?
Do what?
How often do they swap out these cords?
Exactly.
What's the weight limit?
Dry rotted, putting it around your ankles.
Remind you, we are in Africa, right? You know,
Jeez.
So these dudes are probably getting paid like $2 an hour,
Right.
our equivalent. You know, maybe even less. So you know, my buddy does it that I'm with, Alex Stews in Stews Customs, who I was building that bike with in Cape Town, and you know, he's like he raced jet ski. He's like those dudes doing backflips off jet skis, and he raced motocross on it. So he's a pretty ballsy dude, you know. I've ridden bikes with him. He fucking almost got me killed in South Africa. That motherfucker's crazy on a bike, dude. And so he's ballsy, you know. And well, I jumped first, and I got on my back, and you free fall for forever. When you walk up to the edge, you look down. You're like 700 feet, so you're like kind of delirious. Mm-hmm. You're like your depth perception's so off. And they're just like, well, look straight ahead, and then we'll tell you when to jump. And that made it a lot better than looking down.
Really?
You jump, and you're free falling forever, and then finally that bungee catches you, and it's kind of soft, and you spring down. You're like, oh wow, it's over. Well, then you spring back up, and then you free fall again for like a few more seconds, you know. And I'm so glad I had that thing on my back, you know, because after you jump and you're hanging down there, they got a dude that rappels down, attaches you on the hem, and draws you back up.
Huh.
And that's actually the scariest part, is getting back up onto the bridge, because you're hanging off this thing. One dude's got you that's hanging from wire off the bridge. Another dude's on a ledge unhooking you, and you're halfway between them while they're unhooking you. And I'm like, this is the scariest part. So I get off. He does it. He's got it around his ankles. He jumps, and plus too, you're hanging upside down for forever. And I've had some some pretty bad face injuries where I've had like reconstructive surgery and stuff, and the blood rushes to my head like crazy. So if I'm hanging upside down for a minute, it feels like eternity, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, he jumps. He's hanging upside down, and he talked to me after. He's like, dude, I could feel my feet slipping out of that thing. And you're still another, 100 feet off the ground when you're just hanging there at the end of it. He's like, I've never been so scared in my life. He's like, I felt like I was about to slip out of it. And dude comes down and like picks him up, you know, and like making some jokes and is like trying to latch onto him and like misses. And then he's like, I got you. No big deal. You know, they do it all day, every day. He's like, dude, that's the scariest thing I've ever done in my life.
I want to know, like, the ratio to accidents.
I don't want to know, because if I ever bungee jump, that's immediately what's going to pop in my head.
I wouldn't, just thinking about, like, the math and the fact that I'd die. It'd probably be my luck that I'm, like, the percentage.
The 1 millionth.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like airplane crashes, you know? The amount of people that are in line there that are in there just busy as shit. I'm like, all right, if somebody dies, I'm like, well, you know, you gotta write that tax off to God, you know, it's gonna happen. It's like getting on a plane. It's probably not gonna happen. The most dangerous thing you can ever do is drive a car, and I'll tell you that. Like,
especially if you're in it with me.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
You did get here before us.
You did burn out of there pretty quick. I'm like, we got to dress because she burned my ass.
Yeah. I did a podcast with the Eyes Brothers, and they do the Wall of Death. You know, where they ride those motorcycles on the deal. And they were FMX guys doing stunts and stuff. And, you know, I was talking to them, and I was like, man, I think the craziest thing you could ever do is drive a car. And I had to get stoned to drive a car one time to realize that. Wow. And I was like, this is the most insane thing. I'm going 75 miles an hour this way. This guy's 2 foot over going 75 miles an hour the other way. If anything deviates at all, you're dead. You're just dead.
Yeah.
And probably other people around you might be dead too. Mm-hmm. You know, forget going 160, 180 on a motorcycle. Like, we do this every day and put kids in the back, you know.
That's crazy.
And, you know,
so
but
scary.
then you'll get on Facebook and somebody puts their kid on a little bronky pony and they're like, oh my God, that's the most dangerous thing. I'm like,
no
yeah, well, what about you hauling your kids through the Chick-fil-A drive-thru?
Right.
When you pull out, somebody's not paying attention, y'all are all dead.
Sheesh.
You know, so that is the most dangerous thing you will ever do, is drive a car. Mm-hmm. So ride the bronc, get the goddamn motorcycle, do the bungee jump. Like, this, you're more likely to die in a car accident.
Yeah. I like that. I like that mentality. Well, I guess just going more towards wisdom. I just want to get it straight. You've spent some time around Grant Gallagher, correct? Yeah. Just me being curious, I read his book and I absolutely loved it. I read it in like 3 days. I was so intrigued.
Think like a horse.
Yep. I want to hear from each of you guys. What's kind of one piece of advice or wisdom that he's left with you guys?
I don't know. I mean, I read the book too. It was a while back. Grant's just he's I don't know how you put it. He's just like a blue collar philosopher, right? So you'll glean little piece of advice all day just watching what he does. But I don't know. He's just a fella up there trying to make it work, and you know, he's chosen a path, and I think more by example than anything. I mean, I was 18 when I met him, and just watching what he was doing over there and how he was, you know, we'd be at Brandon's together and stuff, and he was always really super encouraging and was always trying to make sure you didn't feel kind of, it wasn't even his branding, you know, but he'd come up and be like, that was a good heel shot you threw there. You look like a whole vaquero out there. And I always appreciated that. You know, I was 19. I'm just getting started in this world, and I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I felt out of place as it was, and we'd sneak off with the buddy I was ranching with, and we'd go drink a beer in the car, you know, at lunch. Everybody else is kind of going to lunch, and I don't know. He's humorous. He doesn't take himself too seriously, and he's just one of those guys. He's one of those guys that's going away, sadly.
Yeah.
Everybody knows one. The old farmer, the old rancher. That not that Grant's terribly old, but they're just a wellspring of knowledge sitting next to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's always full of life and always, funny stories and euphemisms and things. And I don't know. That's what he was. He just rubbed off on me when I was really young.
Yeah. What about you, Colt?
Watch out for wild women. We connected real well on that.
Yeah, he was married to a wild one back in the day. She was a musician that would play at all the guest ranches and stuff. And he'd bring that
at
up
the
quite a
time
bit.
I was dating one, a musician that came by actually. Yeah, and it was good. That went south while I was there at the ranch, so it was good to have him to talk about it too, because he knew,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of good stuff. With me and him, we were a lot of the times we just got to hang.
Yeah.
I think he needed that. I needed that, but I think he needed that too, to an extent, because he's always the guy. He's always the guy, So to be able to like bring him a beer and sit there and like talk about shit and hear him tell his stories to me was like the best thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're fixing to get to closing time, so I have appreciated having y'all on the podcast. I don't know if y'all have any wise words of your own, not necessarily Grant's, or anything you feel like maybe you wanted to say and you didn't get to.
I probably said too much. Don't be coming to me for wisdom.
Yeah, me either. I'm a cautionary tale. Stay away from my past. No, I don't have shit. I appreciate you guys bringing us on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you guys. This has been really fun. We're
Yeah.
excited to do the one with you guys, whenever we get to that. And I'm sure that's going to be another.
Oh, speaking of which, that's
awesome
what we're
one.
trying to beat is we're, through this podcast, we have interviewed some cool people. And actually, Jerry Gazelle, we had him on the podcast. And someone had been listening, some producer in L.A., I think he's like a hybrid between here and Texas, or between here and L.A., and he actually wanted to do stuff with Jerry by hearing it on our podcast, I think.
Wow.
That's how I heard it.
Really, Matthew Dillon.
Yeah, and I think, so we're going to be, what we're trying to beat is we're doing a production out there with him. He wants us to be in his movie, a little short. He writes, and Matthew Dillon is doing a little short on one of his stories.
Oh, I think I saw this.
We're going to be in it. It's called Laundromat Texas. We're in it on the 11th and 12th or something.
Sweet, how exciting.
We're
Yeah.
shooting
That's
next
really cool.
weekend.
But
yeah.
cool stuff that's come from the podcast, just getting to
Yeah.
meet these guys.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're actors now. We're actors.
I wouldn't say
Actors,
that.
models,
Adding that to the
philosophers.
resume.
I wouldn't say that.
No, we're just beer drinkers.
Really good resumes. Where can people find y'all?
Colt Wrangler Radio for us. I'm Luke.G.Darling on Instagram.
Yeah. Colt.Wrangler. And then my motorcycles is coltwrangler.co.
Sweet.
So.
Nate, where can people find us?
At Beneath the Hat, just about everything. We have a lot of fun stuff planned for you guys, so we're really excited. We've been loving this new setup. If you missed Emilio on this podcast, don't worry, he'll be back on the next one, I'm sure. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much again. We had a blast.
Thank
and
you
on
guys.
behalf of Emilio, if you're looking for a hat, Double R Hat House on Facebook, Instagram, and everything else.
Elgin, Texas.
Don't go anywhere else. If you do, Luke and I will kick your door down and kick your ass.
I don't know about kicking your ass, but we'll be upset at you.
We'll
give
try.
you
We'll
a
scream.
stern reprimand.
We hope you break first, so we don't have to do something.
I promise we're not paying them to say that. Okay.
Sweet. Thank you guys. We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya. Thank you.
Give me about 3 more beers, you get the real story.
I know. You got to, I don't know. You're trying to edit yourself halfway through this stuff.
Yeah.
You can take the tacos out you can take the cooler out at the taco joint.
Oh,
Can
hell
I
yeah.
take a boomerang as well real quick?
Yeah.
I went over a bit. I know we're
Oh, are we over?
No, I think
Thank you.
We are over. Y'all aren't over.
I'm a talker, so.
No worries. We should have planned
Shut
for
the
next
fuck
year.
up.
We had good
you guys are out by then, we're good.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thank you, man.
sweet. We're fixing to. Will you take a seat for a split second?
Yeah.
Sorry. I normally take some little. Is this a button?
I don't know. I found it on the floor.
Oh.
Is it?
Sure. Okay. Ready? I did a little boomerang. That's good.
You're so professional at the production.
She's got the
I love
media
it.
gal.
She's
I mean,
got
that's
it helps.
the
and
shade of mine.
where can we
always
get
forget to
another
take a
one of you?
picture.
Is there another one of you around?
I wish I had another one of these.
Yeah.
If I find one,
We
I'll
always
take
leave a
one from
podcast.
you.
We go, God damn,
Yeah.
we forgot to take pictures.
Yeah,
She's
no.
on top
If
of
I can
it.
find another one of me, I'm hugging her.
Yeah.
Well, I also dropped the ball. See, I'm not perfect. I dropped the ball on asking y'all to bring some stuff, but thankfully y'all brought caps because typically we'll just set it on the table, and I already got some photos of these.
Great.
Awesome. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right.
I'll drop y'all the pin to the taco joint. If y'all are
Yeah. It's not Tyson's, is it?
No,
No.
it is Rosita's. I've been going there since I was like 3. That place is
Rosita's.
bomb.
It's so good.
All right, I'm down. I used to live right over there by Tyson's, so I would always go there.
Y'all, I imagine y'all eat beef. I'd like to be sure because
Yeah.
we just order a bunch of tacos
Hell yeah.
and call it good.
If we don't eat beef, shoot us now.
We're in the wrong line of work.
We
Yeah,
always ask,
take this hat
but
off my
I
head.
figured, you know.
No, I'm vegan.
Hey, you never know nowadays.
Animal cruelty.
Right.
Let me see, I'll send you that deal.
Throw this outside real
Yeah,
quick.
this place is really cool to town. They like, I guess it's like a chain. We just looked it up, just podcast studios, and it's Austin, so there's something.
Yeah.
But I know like Theo Vaughn's done one here. Some of the Barstool guys have done one here, so
That's cool.
it's pretty fun.
That's a good idea, man. I wish I'd have been in front of that. Like, put up a couple podcast houses.
Well, dude, and before it was just, that's that thing. I was here till 9:30. Either way, so y'all are good. Yeah, yeah, of course. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Nice meeting y'all.